What we're talking about is football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors, and more from yesterday. Paul Mainieri's introductory presser. Also, Ray Tanner was there, Terry Rooney, Monty Lee. We're going to get to as many voices as we can from yesterday between now and 3 o'clock. Of course, Coach Mainieri, also Coach Tanner, Terry Rooney on the postgame show with Jay and Elijah. Monty Lee had a presser as well during yesterday's festivities. We're going to get to that. Right now, with what Paul Mainieri just said, we played about the analytics versus gut, where Coach Mainieri basically said, I'm going to mix the two.
Yep.
And I just think that's the right way to go in this. Like Moneyball, the movie Moneyball.
Mm-hmm.
We've all, but a lot of folks have seen Moneyball. And, in the movie, and again, movies are movies, but there was that old school scouting community that didn't want to hear no math.
Mm-hmm.
They just wanted to use their eyeballs. He looks like a ball player. Remember, that's the line from Moneyball.
Right.
To the analytics folks who are using, basic percentages and numbers to tell you the percentage of success of a certain whatever it is in sports. That's really, to me, analytics is just taking old school scouting and putting numbers and video behind it.
Right.
And if you look at it that way, instead of, well, if you love analytics, you hate scouting. If you love scouting, you hate analytics. If you look at it like, okay, a scout says, for an example, okay, you know what? Yeah, something's off with your delivery because all of a sudden you're riding the fastball off the plate and your command isn't what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, for an example, I think you're I think your stride is too long and it's throwing your weight shift off and it's throwing everything to where you're not throwing strikes. That's the scout's opinion with an eyeball.
Sure.
Okay, now the analytic guy can take the video and go, hey, bub, what he just said, watch.
Right.
And then you go like this. I guess you're right. It's just the backup of what's scouting eyes. Sometimes scouting eyes see something that doesn't jive with maybe analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there's things we've thought of in sports, Tyler, that analytics have said, guess what? That's not right. And that makes the scouting community mad too, because they're like, you're taking a dump on all these things that we've held true and dear.
No, there should always be a balance between the two, and I think Mainieri made a good point. He'd be dumb to ignore analytics because, again, it has become a big part of the game, but it shouldn't always be the end-all, be-all when you're making decisions, and that goes back to, where people were frustrated with Kingston, especially for some of the, late decisions that he made, towards the end of this past season, where it said, well, why'd you do this? Why'd you keep this pitcher in? Why'd you keep this guy in at this spot or whatever it may be? Well, the analytics told us this, but the feel and the flow and the eye test weren't matching what the analytics were saying. So sometimes you have to go against what the numbers say and go with your natural feel, your gut feel of the game. And again, that's where it feels like Paul Mainieri, who again has been around for 4 decades, he's been coaching baseball at the high level since the 80s. So he has that old school gut feel mentality, the eye test and all that kind of stuff, where I feel like it is going to be a good balance of those two things that depending on the situation, depending on what the numbers say, we'll decide which way you're going to go.
I think that you have to mix both. Because, again, there's so many things that this analytic technological world brings you, but you also can't excuse flow of game and feel and the moment. Because things sometimes you got to go with that because of, we talked about earlier, some guy typically might not be that good in this situation, but this guy's been balling lately, right?
Yeah.
So you know what you're going to do? Leave him in and let him do what he's been doing.
Sure.
Confidence. The other thing the analytics can't tell you, as much as I like them, is the heartbeat of a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like anything, the more you do something successfully, the more you're going to feel confident you can do it. Does that mean you're going to do it successfully every time? Of course not. But Paul Mainieri talks about how much he values RBIs. And the analytic community does not value RBIs at all.
Mm-hmm.
They look at it like, good hitters get hits. Whether there's people on base or not, good hitters get hits. If you run simulations for 1 million times, typically good hitters who are good hitters are going to get hits whether people are on base or not.
Right.
I understand that to a point when you're running numbers. You ever bat with runners on base late in the game?
Yes.
Feel different than batting in the first inning when nobody on base and it's nothing? 1,000%. I think that some people are just better when it's tense.
Yep.
Some people thrive and some people don't.
Well, and again, this isn't Mainieri trying to pile on Coach Kingston or inadvertently take a shot at him. But when you look at what South Carolina struggled out this year, driving guys in when they were on base, that's the perfect answer that the fan base wants to hear is, yeah, I want a guy that's concerned about RBIs.
And you would pick the RBI guy over the guy with the who's got the barrel rate or the exit velocity.
Sure.
And here, the other part of that is this. With the whole thing about RBI, it goes back to, and I don't know this because I wasn't over watching everything that happened during this past regime, but and this is about baseball in general in a lot of ways to me. Look, I get all of it. I get the exit velocity, I get swing paths, I get all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also believe that situational hitting matters. And I believe when there's a runner on third, less than 2 outs, and you're down by a run, you got to change your approach, especially if you all of a sudden get 2 strikes.
Right.
Can you get that runner in if you swing and miss for strike 3? No. Unless the ball goes past the catcher and rolls back to the backstop.
Right.
That's your plan. Is it your plan B?
That shouldn't be.
No. I just think that you need to be able to have a situational plan of hitting to where you get in that box and it's 2-2 and you got a runner on third and less than 2 outs and you're down by a run in the 7th inning. You got to say, okay, I have got to make good contact now. That's what I need to do. I have to have a good approach. Don't try to come up here and hit a ball 500 feet. I need a good approach to make good, solid contact.
And that's kind of been the issue with South Carolina's offense for these past couple of years. It seems like it's been feast or famine. Either you're hitting a home run or you're striking out at times. You got to find that balance in the middle ground, the small ball thing, which is something else that he talked about that, again, something that people got frustrated with Kingston at the end of his tenure, that they weren't, bunting, moving runners around, just playing the small little nuances of the game that a team like Kentucky has rode all the way to the College World Series now.
And college baseball is different from Major League Baseball, obviously, duh. Terry obvious. But, you put you drop bunts. You break up infields with some hit and runs. You put the ball in play. You know what teams do sometimes?
Make mistakes.
They make mistakes.
As we've seen.
These aren't major leaguers.
Yeah.
And, I remember when a kid played Little League, you have a coach, hit the ball. Nothing can happen if you're walking to the dugout after strike 3.
Yeah.
We can't score runs. And so there's a balance in here. Yes, I love the 9 quadrants of home plate, and here are your hot quadrants, and here are your cold quadrants, and hunt a pitch right here, and this is what you're looking for. And if you hunt that pitch, and you get the pitch you're better at, go after it. I'm all about that.
Sure.
But here's what happens. Again, 7th inning, 1 out, runner on third, you're down by a run, 2 strikes on you. I'm not saying you're swinging a ball rolling in the dirt. But what I'm saying is if you get a pitch you can handle, to heck with the quadrant, make good solid contact and get a run in, and don't take a called third strike because it wasn't in your hot spot.
Sometimes like we saw with Talmadge Lecroy in the SEC tournament, sometimes the guy on the hot corner is struggling. He's not been able to field a ball cleanly all day. Hit it at him.
Because if you hit the ball and he's going to field it the way it's going, because we talk about confidence, Talmadge Lecroy had the opposite.
Yeah. Now, the statistics of the batter may say he's not had a single hit towards that side of the field the entire season. I feel pretty good about his chances this time.
I just feel flow of game situation, things that are, because that's part of this. It just can't be analytics.
That's why managers get paid a lot of money. That's why Paul Mainieri is getting $1.3 million come here. You have to manage all that in split-second decisions, which is why it is not easy. But again, finding that balance between analytics and gut feel is what's going to hopefully make this team successful. And I think Paul Mainieri is the right guy to do that.
Yeah, the resume's pretty good, right?
Pretty darn good.
It's okay. Right.
I mean, he is the winningest active coach in baseball right now.
All right, Big 12's doing something really interesting. We get back to football in the 1 o'clock hour here on the game. The Big 12 is exploring selling the naming rights. Oh, not of the fields.
No.
Not of the uniforms.
No.
What are they selling the naming rights of, Tyler?
The whole dang conference.
They'll take the word big off of it.
Or actually, they might not. They might leave.
Really?
Which is we can dive into this more. If you're going to do it, change the whole name. Don't keep part of it. But why would you keep the 12? There's not 12 teams in the conference anymore.
No.
Either commit to 16 or get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, But you know what, though? The Big 16 has a really bad ring. There's just no...
I think none of the names make sense anymore, to be honest with you.
the Big 10's not 10.
We got ACC teams in California now.
I was going to say, the ACC's now on the Pacific Coast. The SEC, Missouri's not in the Southeast. I mean, we
just blow it all up.
We've just... And look, I get this idea. Because you're looking for anything you can do to make a buck.
Sure.
Because you're going to be paying players. You got this gigantic lawsuit you got to pay back. I get it. I understand. I mean, fine sponsored urinal cakes. But you got to, I get it. But we're going to get back into this on the other side and have our Firehouse sub text the hour at 803-404-6100. It is an interesting topic. Halftime show, Terry Ford, Tyler Head, Ed Bird here on the game.